Indiana Borough Police Chief Justin Schawl, who joins us this morning on Indiana in the Morning, presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Chief Schawl, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
It's good to have you with us here this morning. Snowy morning, and I know Indiana Borough Police always have that same concern for everybody else, for people to be safe on the streets. And when it's snowing like it did overnight, maybe a little bit more than people were expecting, well, that interest actually increases, and you want everybody to be safe behind the wheel of a car, and especially walking about downtown. It's easy to look for the easiest place to cross a street, and in doing so, cross at the wrong place and get into a bit of trouble.
Well, that's correct. So snow doesn't make anything easier. It makes it maybe a little prettier outside, but certainly not easier. And for travel, both in our car or on foot, we have to be careful because early in the morning things aren't necessarily as able to be as maintained as well as perhaps later in the day or early in the afternoon, especially after an overnight snowfall. So challenges are present. There's no question about that. And to your point, we always ask that our motoring public drive safely through town, and that our everyone be cognizant of pedestrians, but also that pedestrians have responsibility for their own safety. So if you're walking downtown and you're looking for places to cross, make sure that you're clearly visible, and that we're using crosswalks when able, and that we avoid the mid-block area where there are cars parked. So these are things tried and true. They're mentioned every year, probably by every police department in the United States and beyond. And but it's worthy of a reminder because one accident, one injury is too many here in Indiana Borough, and we're trying very diligently to suppress our crash numbers, and we have been for several years with some good success. So we want to keep that going.
Yeah, we have had some accidents recently, though. The one Water and 6, where the vehicle went onto the sales lot at Delaney. And that can be a scary thing. If you're a pedestrian walking along the street, we had one here in front of the radio station last summer, where somebody waiting at the intersection to cross, they didn't want to cross against the light, and there was a collision in the intersection. And if you have to be watchful, even if you're not about to cross the street, because a car can come at you.
Yeah, we have to be careful. I mean, crashes are they're dangerous because of injury, but they're expensive. They're impactful to people's lives, and even if you're not directly involved in a crash, if you see one, it can be scary. I mean, these are big, heavy vehicles. They used to be predominantly metal, but now they're still extremely dangerous. So, to your point, for the month of December, even early January, we've seen a very slight rise in traffic crashes from previous months, and this is really the first month that we've seen a slight rise. And so winter weather, it's presenting itself to be a challenge. I don't think that we've been without it for so long, and even through some milder winters, that we have to reacquaint ourselves with winter driving here in Indiana and beyond.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, council's going to meet tonight. Talk about a new mayor. Of course, the Indiana Borough Police work specifically with the mayor a lot. Any truth to the rumor that Justin Schawl is going to run for mayor?
There's no truth to that, but there is a lot of truth to the fact that he'll support the mayor and the mayor's position as best as he can. But you're right. February brings us really, for a lot of reasons, February is bringing us full circle. It was February 14th when Mayor Hood had suffered a significant injury at his residence. It was February 14th that there was a shooting on Wayne Avenue. It was February 15th when Joe Clement retired from the Indiana Borough Police Department and assumed command of the IEP Police Department. So here we are, February, again, with a significant milestone. This time I hope that and I expect it to be far more positive for Indiana Borough and the Indiana community, but certainly important. I mean, Indiana Borough has been blessed, absolutely blessed, to have Mayor Hood. He has been a tremendous champion for the police. He's been a mentor in ways that have been so valuable to former Chief Sutton and also to me as I get into my starting actually. It was 2 years that I was chief yesterday, so appointed chief yesterday. So for the 2 years and the 18 years before that I've been with the police department, and so many important moments that have included the mayor of Indiana Borough and specifically George Hood. That the next mayor of Indiana Borough certainly will have large shoes to fill, as I did as coming in as chief, but certainly we'll have a path forward that's solid and positive. And so I just look forward to being part of that process for whoever's Indiana Borough's next mayor.
Yeah, boy, you're right. When you think back to February of last year and how eventful that was, let's hope it's a much calmer month for everybody.
Well, I would hope, but you know what? We don't know. But I can tell you that the best we can do is be prepared, and be prepared to make good decisions and safe decisions. And one thing 2020's taught us, and I hope to quit talking about 2020 soon, but one thing it's taught us is that we have to be resilient, and we have to find ways, even when they're hard, even when they're unpleasant. We have to find ways to get through it, not only for us to get through it, but for everyone else to get through it. So I don't want to say desperately seeking, but I'm very much looking forward to a 2021 that's capable of bringing positive impacts to the Indiana community. Yeah. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that my focus as chief of police is going to be trying to make as many positive impacts for our community and for the officers serving our community as possible. Because if it's one thing that we all deserve, it's a break. It's some peace and grace. And I'd like to extend that as much as possible, even though our job is to be reactive. We can also be proactive, and I want to make sure that we're plugging in ways that can bring value this year.
Well, at the risk of endangering your mental health, do you do statistical reviews or other sorts of reviews at the end of the year, and have you completed those for 2020 and closed the books on them?
We do. I do a year in review, or I have done a year in review, and forward-moving focus for both years that I've served as chief so far. And Chief Sutton had done those for a few years prior to his retirement. So we do have a statistical review completed. That statistical review will find its way to council today, I would think, and not that they would have time to review or discuss it, but if you have any questions about a forward-moving focus or a year in review, I'd be happy to take a stab at it for you here today.
Well, I'd like you to do that right now. Let's
okay.
Look forward into 2021 and use as the foundation for that some of those numbers.
So in 2020, the Indiana Police Department calls for service. We handled 10,190 calls for service. Those calls ranged from anywhere from mental health to assault to burglary, criminal mischief. We did see, certainly, I don't know that we saw significant upticks in certain areas, but we didn't see large declines. And I think that that's really indicative of the response that we needed to have this year, because for the most part, society was shut down, as we all know, unfortunately, for several weeks, if not months. And so if we were going to follow the status quo, we would assume that calls would be reduced. But in fact, in 2020, police activity increased from previous years. So even though those numbers are comparative to previous years, we have to preface that, I guess, with an asterisk that says that because our numbers were relatively the same or a little increased, that actually that was a large increase, because we were definitely not as active in some areas as others. One thing I was proud of in 2020 was our effort, our department-wide effort at business security. This was something that we started tracking during COVID because our business partners were closed on Philadelphia Street for a small part, and also for landlords had tenants removed from their residences. So business security checks, home security checks. We do house of worship patrols too as community service efforts. I mean, these things are very positive, and they demonstrate our ability in Indiana Borough to be flexible to needs. Some of the things we backed off of in 2020 were traffic stops. We felt that with the COVID-19 environment that it probably wasn't the most prudent thing for us to be interjecting as much as we had in the past with contacts. That doesn't mean that we were ignoring anything. It just meant that our proactive mission was to try and keep our community as safe as possible, and that simply meant limiting contacts that we could limit. So we did limit some of those. Mm-hmm. As far as our 2021 forward-moving focus, I am committed, and the police department is committed to engaging in strategies capable of enhancing community wellness and support. Also, employee wellness. like we did last year and the year before, we're going to continue facilitating personal and professional growth opportunities. We have an extremely strong partnership with cultural anthropologist Abigail Adams from IUP. And also, again this year, as we were last year, we're seeking to increase our technology abilities and trying to become as efficient as possible and as effective as possible for the residents of Indiana Borough and our visitors and our business community. There's some tangible things that are going to accompany each of these forward-moving focuses. I don't want to say that we got sidetracked in 2020, but there were many other focuses that needed attention. And so perhaps we weren't as vigorous in our pursuit of our focus last year, just because of the changes that we had to face, and I used the word resilience earlier, but truthfully, we had to adapt and overcome. So 2020 and being proactive, I look forward to some really good things, and I look forward to breaking them all out on your programming throughout the year.
There you go. We'll put an asterisk on 2020 overall. Chief, there is one open homicide investigation. Crime Stoppers posting a reward for the suspect in that. And how can people get involved in terms of helping to identify this person, or to let you know if they see this person who is at large?
So in October of 2020, we had a homicide here in Indiana Borough. There were 4 suspects identified and 4 suspects charged. Of those 4, we have 3 in custody. 1 charged suspect is at large. And what you're referring to, I believe, is that Crime Stoppers has renewed its commitment to finding this person. We do not believe they're in the Indiana area, but certainly they could be somewhere regionally. If you see the photograph, and if you have knowledge of that person, we would want an immediate call 24 hours a day to the police department or to 911. I mean, this person certainly considered dangerous. This was a very significant incident here in Indiana Borough, and we'll all be very much more comfortable with this person in custody, as are the other 3. So just immediate reporting to the police. It can be anonymous, but certainly we'd like you to stick on the line with us enough to give us sufficient information so that we can bring this to a safe resolve.
Very good. Very good. Well, we appreciate your time here this morning. Let's hope that does come to a resolve and fairly soon. Chief Justin Schawl, thanks for being with us this morning.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, 101.1 FM and AM 1160.